In this lab, you'll be synthesizing and isolating the compound trans-dichloroethylene cobalt-3 chloride. Make sure to wear your safety goggles, apron, gloves, and tie back any long hair.
First, we will be preparing the reaction mixture. It is crucial to mix the reagents in the correct order and amounts or else side products will form. Refer to Table 2 in Lab Manual. Weigh 2.5 grams of the cobalt-2 chloride substance and record the precise mass on your datasheet. Then transfer to a 150 milliliter beaker to be dissolved in 10 milliliters of water. Obtain 10 milliliters of 10% ethyldiamine solution and record the precise volume. Then add in successive 2 milliliter portions with vigorous stirring and continue to stir for 10 minutes. Next, obtain 3 milliliters of 7.5% hydrogen peroxide and record the precise volume. Then add in successive 0.5 milliliter portions slowly and continue to stir for 15 minutes. In the fume hood, measure 7 milliliters of the hydrochloric acid and record the precise volume. Then slowly add to the beaker. Also, as a caution, make sure that the hydrochloric acid is only added in the fume hood. If the beaker is needed to be taken out of the hood, make sure to cover it with a watch glass so the fumes won't escape. To start with part 2 of the experiment, obtain 4 to 5 boiling chips and record their weight. Then boil the solution gently on level 2 to 3 in the fume hood until the volume reduces to a third or half of the original volume. At the first hint of splattering, use beaker tongs to remove the beaker and set it on the hood for it to cool for a minute. Then, place the beaker with the watch glass covering the top in the ice bath for a few minutes. You can also obtain 5 milliliters of methanol to be placed in the ice bath as well to be used later in part 4. To start part 3, set up the vacuum filtration, and here's a few pointers if you have not done it yet. Make sure your vacuum is working by feeling for the suction in the vacuum. Also, make sure if you were to take your eyes out of the beaker to make sure the clamp is securing it so it doesn't fall. And make sure the shorter end of the tube in the vacuum trap is towards the vacuum and the longer end is towards the flask. And lastly, for setup, when you put the filter paper in, just make sure to spritz it with water so it can stick to the funnel. Swirl and quickly pour the entire solution into the funnel and transfer any remaining crystals with a scoopula. In this experiment, do not rinse the remaining crystals in the beaker with water as it may dissolve some of the product. So just do your best so you just get the most out of it by using a scoopula. For washing, obtain methanol in a graduated cylinder to ensure that no more than 3 milliliters is used, and pour in successive 1.5 milliliter portions into the funnel. Then, allow the crystals to dry with the vacuum on for 10 minutes. Remove the filter paper with a scoopula and place it on a watch glass with your initials on it to make it easier to identify which one is yours. You can then give it to your TA or place it near the oven so the TA can put it in later. After baking, allow it to cool for about 15 minutes and measure the mass of dry crystals obtained and place it in a vial to give your TA for next week's lab. At the end of the experiment, combine all waste solutions in the waste beaker to be put in the heavy metals waste container. Just make sure that it does not go above the fill line.